deep dive. The LA Rams, what a story last year. Win total is 10. 11-5 last year straight up, 9-7 against the spread, 10-5-1 to the over. They were +7 in the turnover differential. That was good for 9th in the league. Football Outsiders. What a job McVay did to turn around that offense. And with Goff, Fisher should never get a job again. Horrible job what they had. Look at what Keenum did with the Vikings as well. 5th in offense, according to Football Outsiders, and number 8 in defense. They were 3rd against the pass, and they had the 2nd best special teams, although that's why they lost their playoff game, because they handed the Falcons 14 points in the playoff loss at home in the opening round, and they got beat. So 11-5, but they are playing in fantasy football, Teddy. They acquire Talib in a trade. They acquire Peters in a trade. They get Cooks in a trade. They pick up Sue. Quinn's gone. Watkins is gone. So they are bringing in some big-name free agents here, especially on defense.
When a team goes from being perennial losers, and the Rams were losers for a long time under Jeff Fisher, and again and repeated. They went 4-12 in 2016. And then they go to 11-5 and have a breakout season. And, defense is good. Offense is tremendous. Top caliber statistics all over the place. Blowing teams out, putting up points in bunches. When a team has that type of transition, they're supposed to be point spread monsters. You're supposed to be betting on the Rams every week and cash a ticket with the Rams every week. It's certainly what happened when the Rams were the greatest show on turf back in '99, where, the first 10 weeks of the season, you bet on the Rams, you cash every time, or almost every time. Yet last year's Rams team went 9-7 ATS. Good, not great. We'll call it mediocre. They were not a point spread juggernaut, despite all of the success that they had from being a last-place team. Why? The markets weren't sleeping on this squad. Not even a little bit. And that's once again the case this year. You talked about all the talent that they brought in. And again, big names, former Pro Bowlers, Peters and Talib in the secondary. Let's not forget Ndamukong Suh on the defensive line joining some guy named Aaron Donald, the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Their secondary is loaded. Their defensive line is loaded. You've got McVay back. You have Wade Phillips back on the defensive side of the football. But on the offensive side, well, you've lost the offense coordinator, Matt LaFleur. You've lost the QB coach, Greg Olson. This year, new offense coordinator, Shane Waldron. New QB coach, Zach Taylor. The one thing I do like about that duo, Pauly, they were promoted from within. McVay's bringing up his guys, and that means they already have familiarity with Goff, familiarity with the offense that they're going to be asked to design and run this season.
The offense can get better, and that's scary because they led the league in points per game last year, almost 30 points per game, but they struggled in the red zone. That's something McVay has to work on, and he's focused on that. They were 17th in red zone scoring. Cooks can stretch the field, won't help in the red zone, but Gurley had a great season as well. So if they can fix those red zone issues, sky's the limit, because the defense should be better on paper, and if they now score touchdowns instead of field goals, watch out. I don't really care for, I don't have much to say about what they did in the draft. Nothing sticks out to me there. And as far as the schedule, the NFC West plays the NFC North, and the AFC West, 2 extra games at New Orleans and Philly. As we've talked about many times here with our team previews, the great thing about the NFC, well, there's no value, number one. But number two, all these teams play each other, as the Vegas odds are hideous to win the NFC. But all these teams play each other. As you see, they go up against the Saints again, and they took them out last year. They play the Vikings again. They got destroyed on the road. They also take on Philly, who they got beat by at home last year when Wentz got hurt. All these teams play each other. This will be a great watch in the NFC this year.
No question. You talk about Philly and New Orleans and the Rams. You can go on and on down the line, and they're all Minnesota. They're all Green Bay. They're all battling each other week in, week out. NFC race is going to be pretty fun. AFC race, not so many contenders on paper, at least coming into the season. You talked about the draft. Look, this was their draft. They got Brandon Cooks. They got Marcus Peters. They got Aqib Talib. They traded away, they used their the draft picks as trade fodder. And again, the guys you bring in, a third rounder, Joel Noteboom, the fourth rounder, Brian Allen, the fourth rounder, John Franklin Myers, the top draft choices, working on the trenches. There is a legit weakness on this squad on the defensive side of the football, when you grade out the LA Rams, their linebacking core is no good, and it is notably weak. It is also a very shallow talent pool there. So if injuries strike the linebacking core, they could be in trouble. But if the secondary lives up to expectations, Peters and Talib have a lot of baggage. They also have a lot of talent. If they do what they're supposed to do and play like number one corners, and the pass rush is there like it's supposed to be, the linebacking weakness may not be a problem. This team has Super Bowl or bust written all over them. They spent the entire offseason making moves to win the Super Bowl this year. They mortgaged their future. They gave away their draft. They brought in impact players. So make no mistake about it. The Rams are going for it. They're lined at 10 wins, and they deserve to be lined at 10 wins. You talked about the schedule, the NFC West versus the NFC North and AFC West, those two extra games, Saints and Philly. That is a tougher than average schedule overall, but it ranks exactly the same as what the Rams faced last year in terms of toughness. Last year, of course, they won 11 games.
Should go 5-1 in the division. You know, with Seattle looks horrible on paper. We'll get to them at the end of the week. And the 49ers are only lined at 8.5. Jimmy G's never lost a game and beat a couple playoff teams last year down the stretch. But they are better than San Francisco on paper.
Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the game.